grade 10s. Today we're going to be talking about how to factor a simple trinomial. But before we get into factoring a simple trinomial, I want to review with you a few things about factoring a greatest common factor. We looked at a greatest common factor being that the polynomial has to have two or more terms. That was one of the characteristics. Also, between all the terms there has to be a GCF. In other words, there has to be a number or a variable or both that divide into all the terms. We also saw that in a GCF there could be a common bracket, and the last one was a grouping style question. In order to group, you have to have an even number of terms, where you group two terms that share something common and two other terms that share something common, and that became a common bracket. So what do? Well, if there's a GCF, you identify it. Remember, you open up your bracket, you divide all the terms by the GCF. Review your notes to see what we have to do if it's a common bracket style question or a grouping. All that information is in there. Today what I want to talk to you about is how to recognize if it's a simple trinomial. So if you take a look here, we're going to review the characteristics of a simple trinomial. First of all, it's called trinomial because the polynomial can only have three terms, and it's going to be in the form of x squared plus bx plus c. And the numerical coefficient in front of the x squared term has to be a 1. That's what makes it simple. So simple, because the x squared term has a 1. Trinomial, there's three terms. So if you decide that it's a simple trinomial, what do? Well, you use what we call the product and sum theory. And I'm going to show you how that works right now through some examples. So let me write down a question, and I'm going to ask you to factor this. So my first question is going to be x squared plus 7x plus 10. Now, if you follow the checklist, you would try to see if there's a greatest common factor. So is there a number that divides into 1, 7, and 10 other than 1? No. This term has an x, this term has an x, this term doesn't have an x, so x is not common. There is no common bracket, and I can't use the idea of grouping because I have an odd number of terms. So now I go to the second thing on my checklist, which is simple trinomial. Is the numerical coefficient in front of the x squared a 1? Yes. Does the polynomial have three terms? Yes. So how do I use the product and sum theory? Well, you look for two numbers that multiply to give you the last term, so positive 10, but at the same time add up to give you the middle term, 7. So now you have to think, what two numbers multiply to give me positive 10, but at the same time add up to give me 7? So take a moment to think. You have to be quick with your multiplication skills to be able to solve these quickly. And so hopefully you realize that positive 5 times positive 2 is positive 10, and positive 5 plus positive 2 will give you 7. So my combination is 5 and 2. How do we write that? Well, you put two brackets, x and x in both, and then you insert your combination. Plus 5 and plus 2. And it doesn't matter which one you write first, providing that the signs are in the right order. So x plus 5 times x plus 2 are the two binomial brackets that if you FOIL them, it should lead you back to the original question, x squared plus 7x plus 10. So what times what gives me this trinomial? These two binomials. Let's take a look at another example. What if I were to give you x squared plus x minus 12? Again, follow the checklist. Is there a number that divides into 1, 1, and minus 12, other than 1? Nothing. There's an x, no x. X is not common. There is no common bracket, and it's not a grouping. So now I check if it's a simple trinomial. Does the polynomial have three terms? Yes. Is the numerical coefficient in front of the number in front of the x term, is it a 1? Yes. Can I find two numbers that multiply to give me negative 12, but at the same time add up to give me positive 1? So two numbers that multiply to give you the last term, but at the same time add up to give you the middle term. So think, what's all the combination of numbers? Don't panic so much about the signs. Just think about all the combination of numbers that multiply to give you 12. So 6 times 2. But is 6 and 2 ever going to add up to give you 1? No. How about 1 and 12? Somehow, will they ever add up to give you 1? No. What about 4 and 3? 4 and 3 could work. But now we've got to play around with the signs. Remember, we want them to multiply to give us negative 12, but add up to give us 1. Which means that the bigger number should be positive and the smaller number should be negative. Now, before you rush off to write your answer, take a moment to think about it. Does it work? Positive 4 times negative 3. Is it negative 12? Yes. 4 minus 3. Is it positive 1? Yes. So that's the correct combination. So you're creating 2 binomial brackets. One that will read x plus 4. That's our first binomial bracket. And the other one will be x minus 3. So what times what gives me x squared plus x minus 12? These 2 binomial brackets. X plus 4 times x minus 3. We're going to just do one more, and hopefully you'll be a factoring freak. Well, slowly but surely, that's what I'm trying to create. I'm trying to create a situation where you guys will be able to factor quickly so that when you get into the older grades, you'll be able to do the more difficult work. Okay, so let's take a look. Again, following our checklist. Is there a GCF here? Anything going to 1, 2, and 24 other than 1? No. There's an X, no X, no good. Is there a common bracket? Nope. Can I do by grouping? No. All right. Next thing on my checklist, not greatest common factor, simple trinomial. Does the polynomial have 3 terms? Yes. Is the numerical coefficient in front of the x squared term a 1? Yes. Okay, let's see if we can find 2 numbers that multiply to give us negative 24, but at the same time add up to give us negative 2. So what numbers? Just think right now of the numbers that give us 24. So 12 times 2. 12 and 2. Is it ever going to give us 2? No. How about 8 and 3? Somehow, are they ever going to add up to give us negative 2? No. So take a moment to think what the combination could be. Think about it. 2 numbers that multiply to give us negative 24, but add up to give us negative 2. Again, you have to be strong with your multiplication skills. So in this case, it's going to be negative 4 and positive 6. Now check just to make sure. What is negative 4 times positive 6? Negative 24. If I take 6 and subtract 4, that doesn't give us negative 2. That will give us positive 2. So notice I checked my combination and that didn't work. So let me adjust the signs. Let me make this one positive and this one negative. Now in this case here, if I multiply 4 times minus 6, does it give us minus 24? Yes. If I add 4 and minus 6, do I get minus 2? Yes. So always take a moment to just double check your combination to make sure that it's correct. And in this case, our 2 brackets are going to be x minus 6 and x plus 4. Final answer. So what times what gives me x squared minus 2x minus 24? X minus 6 times x plus 4. And that's how you factor a simple trinomial. Hopefully that helps you. And so now you have 2 things on your checklist. GCF as well as simple trinomial. Tomorrow I'll do another video and we'll add on to our checklist. See you guys later.